One of the biggest problems stopping people going out seeing the world is not having people to do it with.
We've got the most connected generation online, but the most disconnected generation in the real world.
The Travel Squad,
one of the fastest growing travel platforms in the world.
Everybody wants that perfect group of friends to go on adventures with. I want to go traveling to Bali, or I want to go hiking. So I started posting online about how I wanted to go traveling and I didn't have people to go with. Everyone was commenting and relating with the same thing. And I started replying to all these comments. What if this whole comment section was in a group chat? Then I thought one step further. What if we could create a platform that connects you with group chats of all the different things you've always wanted to do?
The Travel Squad is a brand new travel social network platform that started off as an idea in a bedroom. The founder's aim is to help connect those who don't have anyone to travel with, allowing them to go on adventures together.
The Travel Squad is the only platform that wants to connect you on your phone to then put your phone down and head outside together.
In the space of just a few years, it has gone from a few people meeting up to now thousands of squad members connecting through the platform and traveling together.
There are like-minded people like you out there. You just haven't got a way to find them yet.
Welcome back to the Travel Squadcast. I'm your host, Morgan Goodsmith, and on this special episode, I have a guest, Alex Merritt, the founder of the viral social media platform and app, the Travel Squad.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so where did this come from? How did it start, Alex?
It started with my travel adventures and my, want for travel and not just travel adventures, camping, going out. And I wanted to do a lot of these things, but I didn't have people to do it with. And it started to get to the point where I started to do some of these things solo, but I would have these amazing experiences traveling, but kind of wished my friends were there to see it with me. I started posting it on social media that I want to see the world, I want to do all these things, but I've got no one to do it with. These things started to go viral. These videos started getting a few million views, basically because everybody was relating to the situation that I was in. I guess I was a problem. I had the same problem that a lot of the audience of the Travel Squad have. And these views started going viral. People started commenting that they're in the same position. I want to go traveling, but my friends don't want to come with me.
Were you posting for a long time before it went viral?
No, I think it was only at 3 or 4 posts before they started taking off, I think.
Okay.
It's around like the 4th post, we started doing really well, and people were commenting that they all want to go traveling and they wanted to, but they just didn't have people to do it with. There was people in the comment section saying if we was if we was in a group chat together in the comment section, we could go on a lot of adventures together. And that's kind of where the idea came from, of how we could try and build a platform that connects these people.
Okay, so in terms of building a platform, how did you first go about kind of forming the Travel Squad into something?
So it was actually, I started with a Facebook group. So we created a Facebook group, we posted it again on TikTok. And I actually posted it on TikTok, went to bed, woke up in the morning, and there was 1,000 requests in the Facebook group within the first night wanting to join. I created it where you could post in there, you could share your adventures you wanted to go on, people could comment, and you could create group chats together. And then I also said that I will start off the group chats and I will start making destination chats. So Travel Squad Australia, Travel Squad New Zealand, Travel Squad Europe, to get people talking. And I did say that I would manually get all these people into these group chats to help them connect. Obviously, waking up in the morning to 1,000 requests all at once, I actually ended up pulling a sickie at work and staying at home. Invited my 2 best friends, Jack and Josh, who are the 2 co-founders of the Travel Squad now. They helped me. We put spreadsheets together and we helped connect people, put them into group chats. And that's where the original, I guess, platform came from.
So it was about connecting people that are close by, or wanting to do similar things, right?
It's essentially people that just want to do similar things. So it doesn't really matter whereabouts in the world you are. If you're both heading to Australia, for example, or you're both heading to Thailand, then you would join this Thailand group chat. And we created these group chats for all these different adventures that people wanted to go on. And then, people started joining them. We sat watching it and people started talking, and then they're planning to meet up with each other. And then all of a sudden we're being tagged on social media of like strangers that have just met up in like Thailand or New Zealand, all from the group chats that we sat and made together.
Okay, so I mean, these people are traveling to, Australia, to Bali anyway. And they're probably going to the same hostels, but you're basically connecting them so that they know that they've got somebody there. So,
Yeah.
it can eradicate that fear of traveling solo, which is
Yeah.
awesome.
I think one of the biggest problems stopping people traveling for a lot of people is the daunting side of going on your own, and being able to connect them online before they head out seems to ease a lot of the anxiety of just kind of heading out there. Like if you know that you're going to meet someone at the airport, or you know that you're going to meet someone at the first hostel, it seems to cut down that barrier that a lot of people have to heading out and doing these things solo.
And what was the first trip that you felt the Travel Squad helped you?
Someone posted on the Facebook group saying they'd like to go hike Snowdon in Wales. A load of people, just like in the Travel Squad, commenting, "Oh, I've always wanted to go climb Snowdon. Let's do it." They put a group chat together, and I was like, "Hold on, I want to go and climb Snowdon. This is something I've always wanted to do." So I joined the group chat. We met up at Snowdon, and I think there was like 30 plus people.
Okay.
All just met up at the bottom of the Snowdon Mountain, hiked up with a load of strangers, talking to new people, meeting new people, getting new connections, swapping socials with each other.
Have you got any friends now from that experience?
Yeah, I actually met Taryn Sanders, who is actually a TTS host of ours, who we
my
work
goodness.
very closely with. He's been a huge part of our journey, and I met him for the first time on that trip. So yeah.
Wow. Okay. So one of the fundamental hosts was met through the process of like basically one of the
Yeah.
first meetups.
All of our hosts actually are all people that are in TTS that we've connected with through the platform. We've never like recruited TTS hosts outside of TTS. It's always been people that we see engaging in it, and I guess taking our idea of connecting people and running it with it themselves.
It's giving it back to the community.
Yeah,
Right?
and seeing them seeing idea and thinking I can help with this.
Yeah.
Watching them do that and then thinking, hey, you'd be a good person to work with, and yeah, that's how we found Taron, and
Okay.
he's done an incredible job ever since.
He is. He's incredible, and I believe he's off to like Australia now, and
He is, yeah.
he's
all over the place, Taron.
He's using TTS for what it's been built for.
Yeah.
I met up with him recently in Colorado.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Nice,
so
yeah.
like, and it just so happened to be that he was there visiting somebody else from TTS, and so
Yeah.
like this reinforces like the magic in this kind of whole platform and the app. Okay, so the next question I've got is, where did the name come from?
So before we come up with the Travel Squad, I already had a travel business that I was trying out myself. It's more of a travel agency thing. I'd always wanted my own little business. I wasn't too happy in the job that I was in, and me, Jack, and Josh were just bouncing names off of each other, just trying different things, and we needed something a little bit cliche that stuck with people. And I think it was actually my dad that came in on it a little bit, getting a bit excited about the project we was working on, and he said the name, the Travel Squad, and I guess we all just kind of like looked at each other and thought that one could work. Yeah, so I guess that's where the name came from. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So kind of thank you to your dad.
Thank
I
you to my
guess.
dad. Yeah, my dad's done a lot of things for me, but that's a big one. Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so I mean, we talk about kind of squads now, but was the idea ever kind of about one-on-one, or has it always been about bigger groups?
It was always about the groups in the Travel Squad they can go from like 3 people to hundreds of people in the group chats, and there was never like a goal of the perfect size number for a squad. I guess some people feel more comfortable just connecting with a few people and creating a group chat, and then some people would rather join the ones with the hundreds of people in, so they can definitely find their people. The ones with the hundreds of people in are usually very good to go in, find your people in there, and then create your own little group chat with those. It's a good mediating connection.
Yes. Okay, so let's take it back kind of a notch then, back in kind of time. What did you, I'm intrigued to know, what did you want to be when you grew up? Like obviously you're here now. Did you see this coming? And, what was your path?
No, my first dream coming out of school, or all the way through school and coming out of school, is I wanted to be a Royal Marine. So it's completely opposite to what I'm doing now.
Yes.
That was my first goal. I trained for years as I was from like the age of 14 to 18, 19. I was always training because that was my dream. That dream didn't quite pan out the way that I wanted it to. I was on the endurance course on one of the training sessions, and I'd reverted my ankle completely, like snapped it.
Oh my goodness.
And I got sent to medical bay, and the long story short was they basically said to me, you can carry on your training, but any injury, this is the Royal Marines is the world's hardest training. So they were basically saying you can carry on your training, but the likelihood of you finishing it with your ankle like this is always going to come up with a problem. That was my first big failure. That was my first big life lesson, I guess. And I had to go home and start again.
I mean, I find it interesting drawing that kind of parallel of the Marines, you know, and just how this is kind of a group of people working hard at one kind of ultimate goal. And you've got this kind of camaraderie in the travel squad, you know, where it's like, it's not about one person being on top. You know, when I talk to you and the rest of the founders, it feels like everybody's worked on this together, and there's nobody's trying to be bigger than one another. Like, you all know that to win, to succeed, you've got to get there together.
There was a lot of life lessons from the Royal Marines, and I did learn some things, you know, about hard work, and I guess that the travel squad has taken a hell of a lot of hard work from all of us.
Yes.
And I guess that's probably where I've got that from as well.
I mean, if you were just kind of look into that and go, what would you say the hardest moment in the whole journey has been? Like, what's the lowest point you've had personally with the
lowest
travel
point
squad?
I've had? It's probably about 2 years in. So I'd always wanted to go backpacking and traveling again anyway. So I'd been saving up at my old job for quite a while to go traveling. So I headed out to Thailand, Southeast Asia, while I was building the travel squad. And I thought,
Can I just jump in there and just ask for the audience, at this point, are you earning any money from the travel squad?
No,
2 years in?
no, this is not monetized at all. And and not really even having like a roadmap for it to be monetized. It was just a fun group that we knew was doing well and just didn't want to force anything like that on it. And so we weren't making any money from it. I was living off my savings, which I'd been saving to travel for about 3 years. Obviously, we just had the COVID period where I'd done a lot of working at my old job, saved money so I could head out. So I did have a little bit behind me to live off, to keep me going. But yeah, so that leads into the hardest time, was where I was in Southeast Asia. My savings were dropping lower and lower, and we really wanted to innovate the travel squad, and we really wanted to build it into its own new platform, which is what we're doing now, which is building the app. Apps cost a lot of money. We didn't have any money whatsoever. I'm not from a strong financial background. My parents don't have these things. I'm not from even like a business background or anything. So I literally had nothing apart from an idea of an app. So we needed to get investment to do that. And this is where the struggles really came from, is I learned the hard way, is that investment is not easy to come by from just having a good idea. You need a lot more than that.
Yes, yeah, you do.
And it must have been 6 months of us having absolutely no money, living very low in Thailand in some very, very cheap accommodation, some very questionable accommodation, just to keep a roof over my head while we want to keep pushing the platform. And I'm spending about 6 months speaking to investors, just reaching out to people on LinkedIn, anyone with a bit of money that I have this idea that I can show to them. And I got a hell of a lot of no's for months and months and months. And the one particular one that answers your question of like the really lowest time was, it was coming towards the end of those 6 months I've been doing it. No one seems to be biting and taking an interest, or I guess understanding what I was trying to build or believing in it. And I was on a call in a cafe in Thailand with an investor that I'd managed to have a couple of conversations with now. So it was finally someone that was really taking an interest, and the Wi-Fi was cutting out. And then I left the cafe to try and get a better connection somewhere else, and I'm losing him on the call. And this is the point where I'm so stressed and I'm getting frustrated, and from the bigger picture of the situation that I was in, with having no money, things not working out. He ended up saying no and cancelling the call because of things that he just couldn't speak to me. And I knew that I'd lost that conversation with him.
Yeah.
And I sat there on this middle of the road, like a random road in Thailand, like on a pavement, just thinking to myself, like, it was a very like low period. I was thinking, I'm gonna have to go home, get a job at Tesco for a little bit, or Asda, and go back to work, because this just doesn't seem to be working. So I think that definitely answers your question. If that was I'll never forget that moment of realizing I've got to go back and start again, and I've got to go back home. And
so really, like, if it wasn't for how cheap Thailand was and the fact you were traveling, like
Yeah.
your savings probably wouldn't have stretched far enough to be able to launch
Yeah,
TTS properly.
it's funny. There's a lot of comments that people say like, "How do you afford to travel? How do you afford to do all this?" And it was cheaper for me to travel in Southeast Asia than it was for me to live in England.
Yes.
Like obviously the living crisis in the UK, rent and things like that. When you add up all your council tax and everything, the bills really do pile up. So I couldn't afford to live in my home country. That's why I went to, and I can't complain about it. I was living a great travel life in Southeast Asia. It was beautiful, but it definitely helped me save my money. Like I was spending much less in hostels than I would have been living in the UK. So it definitely stretched my. That's why when I say to people like I was living low in Thailand, like I was just living in lower accommodations just to keep my savings going, so that we could keep running the travel squad without having to monetize it.
So as like, if we go back to Jack and Josh, right, and just for the audience, like, can you explain like that kind of tight knit group of like you three, and like how really like how that maybe that dynamic works? Where did you guys meet? Why were they the ones that were helping you? I
Yeah.
suppose is the question.
So I've known Jack and Josh for 15 years. Like
Okay.
we went to school together. We met in like year 7 or 8 or something like that. And we gelled. We've been best friends ever since. So 15 years, like very close with each other. We tried a lot of things together. We was going to start a little podcast together. Actually, was one of our ideas. We'd started gaming YouTubes. Like we'd started like other ideas. We was going to do a clothing brand at one point. Like we just had lots of project ideas together, but nothing quite gelled and worked. Some of them were very silly ideas. Some of them were some quite serious ones that
Can
did
you
pretty
name
well.
a silly idea?
I had some absolutely outrageous business ideas before the Travel Squad. Like some of them were a bit more of a joke. I'll give you a funny one that they always quote. Is I once called them up about an idea of bunk baths. So essentially like bunk beds. But I was like, what about if we could make some baths that are like bunk baths? And it was never actually going to. It was a very stupid idea. But that gives you a level of like how many dumb ideas
you're
that we
brainstorming.
threw at
Like
each other.
like almost like the desperation to like I just want to come up with something good.
You know, when a late night in the pub when you've had a few beers and you think, let's just start a business, let's do this, and there were so many stupid ideas. So I think that's when I called them up with the idea of the Travel Squad, they didn't take it too seriously because like, okay, we've been through some stupid ideas now, and I'm like, okay, well, I think we can connect strangers through a travel platform and we can help them travel together. And then it sounded a little bit far fetched to them. So when I originally called them, I could tell they didn't jump to it very quickly. It was just one of those ideas, but luckily I did manage to bring them on board after a little bit.
I can relate to that. I mean, if you're coming up with ideas all the time, which I'm also like-minded in that way, people start to kind of go, okay, you've got another idea.
I was that guy that would call them up with another idea, and they're like, some of them were that probably isn't even the silliest one. There was some ridiculous ones in there.
Okay, so wait, just tell me a little bit more about Jack and Josh then.
Yeah. So that's why I knew these were the two guys that as soon as I realized that, I've got an idea here, but I can't execute this myself. I'm going to need help. That's when I realized that those are obviously my two best friends are the two people to turn to. And we have a very interesting work relationship because we're best friends. Imagine working with your best friends it's
challenging.
It can be challenging. It's the best thing in the world, but also the worst thing in the world in other moments. Because the best thing in the world is I love every day being able to have calls with my two best friends and we can have a real laugh about it. The downside to it is because you're best friends is you don't always have that level of respect for each other. It's like you can joke around and it's not as, I guess, corporate and serious, which means you don't get as much done sometimes. But I wouldn't change it for the absolute world. Like I couldn't think of two other people that I would rather do this with.
Understood. I mean, what would you say the most challenging part of working with them is?
I guess that
this is your opportunity to drop them in it, but
I guess because we're best friends, we don't always take each other too seriously. So I can be really serious with them and like want to focus on something, and they can be a little bit silly about it because you're best friend and make jokes and remarks when I'm trying to be serious for a moment. And I guess, if anyone listens to this, like your best friends, like you have. It's hard to have a serious conversation with them sometimes, but when you're in such a serious matter and you're building a business together, you have to have those conversations. And
of course,
sometimes they can be tough with your friends.
Would you say you're the most serious out of the three of you?
No, I'd probably say I'm the one poking the jokes all the time, but
Okay.
it's no, we're all very silly with each other. We go through different periods of focus, I guess.
Okay.
We're all just as bad as each other. That's why we're best friends. That's why, yeah.
Okay, so we spoke about your like lowest moment.
Mhm.
What would you say recently is like the best moment that you've kind of had recently with the Travel Squad?
Well, I've had a lot of high moments with the Travel Squad, some really amazing moments. I think what will always be it for me is the final seeing people connecting with it, like actually meeting up in real life and doing things. Been amazing stories of how people have become best friends through it. They've traveled the world together. People live together now. Like there's a perfect example I can think of is 3 girls posted on the Travel Squad about wanting to travel Thailand and Southeast Asia. They connected with each other. They met up at the airport. They traveled. They moved to Australia together, and then they all moved in with each other. And they're all like 3 sisters, like best friends, living with each other for
That's
like
so wonderful.
over a year and a half now. And there's this. They're only just like some of the stories that I know of. Obviously, there's
Yeah.
thousands of stories of people that have connected through it and had different adventures and stories out there. But
Mm-hmm.
that's a good example of one, and that will always be the highlight of all of it for me is seeing that final, getting messages from people that, I've met my best friend through this platform.
Yeah, I've met one of my best friends. I travel around all of North America with somebody that I met on the main page of the Travel Squad on Facebook. And we literally rented a van together and traveled for a month. You would have thought, okay, you're going to rent a van, you're going to be in a small contained space for a month. You're probably going to hate each other by the end. But
Hmm.
we literally, like, everything went perfectly. We were like, we just never grated on each other. It was amazing. We saw all the national parks, went to Yellowstone. We went like through to the Grand Canyon. It was incredible. And literally, I think we connected on a post, had one call, and we were like, right, okay, so we can't travel Thailand together because our dates don't line up. What else? Okay, traveling in a van around North America. Let's do it. Had another call, booked the flights, called each other again 2 months later, booked a van, and the rest is history. And so, like, those moments are just literally from making that initial connection. And I mean, I have you to thank for that.
And that in a nutshell is the perfect example of what the platform is built for and what it is used for. Like if I could give someone an exact example of how to use the platform, exactly what you did there is you posted your idea of the travels that you wanted to do, the adventures you wanted to go on. Someone connected with you on that. You spoke through a group chat, you had a call, you met up, and then you could finally achieve those, your exact dream of driving around Yellowstone in a van with
Yeah.
with a new group of friends. Like that's exactly
And I
what
didn't,
it was for.
and I didn't have any friends that were willing to do that as well. And
Yeah.
that's why the
Yeah.
Travel Squad is just essential, is to help with that kind of
And
thing.
you can even have a big group of friends that you do love to travel with, but they might not want to do everything that you want to do. So, for example, you could have met loads of people through the Travel Squad that want to do different things, but all of a sudden you want to go to, let's just say Croatia. You've always wanted to go to Croatia, but the friends that you've met so far aren't interested in going to Croatia. They've got other plans.
Yeah.
So now you go back to the Travel Squad and you have another option of, you want to try and find people that want to do that exact adventure. So you can never
Yes.
have enough connections and friends through it.
Yeah, like, I mean, to give you another story, I saw a post on the Travel Squad that said it was something like there's a £27 flight to Lanzarote, and I literally was just like, okay, I'm down this weekend, let's go, and we went
Yeah.
on the weekend. And another occasion, I went to Montenegro. Again, the flights were cheap. All they needed was somebody else to come along. And renting a car is obviously cheaper. If you're traveling around Europe, like, actually, when you're getting a cheap Airbnb or a rental car, like, to not be doing it with a second person can be quite expensive. So being able to, like, reach out, find those people. And one of my favorite things about the app is the new vouch button. I mean, can you explain kind of how that helps in terms of kind of the trust element?
Well, obviously, you are meeting a stranger through the internet, so
Yeah.
like you want to make sure that you feel a little bit safer with this. And vouching there's multiple steps that we've put in the app to try and help you feel more confident about meeting someone. And obviously, we always push you to do your own due diligence on someone and talk with them first online for as long as you can. You've got to treat it exactly like how you meet any stranger on the internet, on Instagram or on any app, I guess, you've got to treat it in the same way. So we want to give as many reasons for you to do that. And I guess if you vouch for someone, obviously you will only vouch for someone that you know and you've met, and you basically say you're vouching by saying this is a good person, like this is the person that you would enjoy going with. And obviously, the more of those you have on your profile, the more basically people have put a big thumbs up saying, this is a cool guy. Like we want you to meet this guy.
No, I mean, I love that. And the other thing is, in terms of like trust elements, like having an ID check as well. Like the fact that the app has this opportunity where if somebody's verified, like I can go in, I can make sure if I'm going to go meet up with, two guys and we're going to travel around Thailand, like, is there some traceability? Like, yes, there is. Like, you guys have they've submitted an ID. They're not coming on there kind of faceless.
Yeah,
they've got to put their face out there and go, this is me. And that gives me a lot more faith in going, okay, I'm going to get on a plane and go to the middle of another country with them. I kind of want to know that. I mean, tell me, what's your favorite feature about the app?
I think going off what you were just saying about verifying your identity is a huge thing for us, because obviously the world can be a scary place sometimes, and there can be the people in there for the wrong intentions. But obviously we found that if someone is to submit their identity to you, like their ID, we've got their passport like it is run by a third party company that holds the data, but they're less likely to act out and be a bit silly if they've literally given us, who they are, and making it a little bit traceable if they were to have problems. And that makes that, a safer place in a verified community. Like it just helps that connection.
Has there been a moment that you can kind of recall where you've stood and looked and just thought, wow, like I created this, like seeing smiling faces or seeing people experiencing something, can you name an occasion like that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we see a hell of a lot of things online on the platform, but I did get an amazing opportunity recently to see it in the flesh and real. And I went on one of the surf squad trips that we run. And as I was there, I'm literally now watching, what we've created, and watching people connect and walk away with new friends. And I think there was a night where we have a performer called Sam Simmons, who's an amazing performer, and he brings out some entertainment on the trips. And a lot of people towards the end of it were shouting and singing TTS and chanting TTS. And obviously me stood there with 100 people in front of me chanting the platform that I've just built because of their appreciation of it.
Yeah,
obviously it was like an insane feeling for me. So I think that's, sometimes we can get a little bit too stuck behind the computer screen trying to build the platform and help people, that we forget what's happening in the real world. And it was such a nice moment for me to go on one of the trips and actually see, the appreciation in real life.
Yeah, I mean, we've got the most connected kind of community of people online currently with general social media, but the most disconnected in the real world. And I feel like, the Travel Squad is it's really connecting people in the real world and encouraging them to put the phone down.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're trying to do as a platform. Yeah, and one other story of I'm constantly hearing stories of how people have met through the platform. There's some people that there's people that got married who have met through the Travel Squad. There's people who there's a couple of weddings happening that I'm hoping to get invited to.
Yeah.
There's a couple of people have had babies from it. There's so many relationships and friendships and so much has been built from it. And you got to think back that that's just from me and my two best friends with an idea of making a Facebook group and just putting some group chats together. That's what it's led to, which is obviously such an amazing feeling to hear this from people.
Of course. So what are the next steps for the Travel Squad?
So the next steps is we have been working very hard on building a travel social network app. So the Facebook group was the first stage. The bigger the Facebook group got, the harder it got to connect people. It was a very manual process with the Facebook group, trying to get them all into different group chats. I told you about, we were doing it with spreadsheets first, trying to manually get people in. There's 150,000 people in the Facebook group now. It became incredibly tough, and we knew that. So we started the plans to build an app, nearly 2 years ago now. We've been working very hard on this app, and we are now at the point where it is ready to launch the first version. So the next steps of the Travel Squad is this new platform that we're putting out there, that is a new tool for people to use to find people to go on adventures with. And I guess the future of the Travel Squad is being able to innovate that platform and having, being able to bring out new features and new things and new ways for people to connect on this platform is the next goal and the innovation of it.
And what would you say is one feature which you just feel like the community is kind of being kind of reaching out for, wanting, something that's going to really help people? What's one thing you could name?
I think there's a few things. One of them being the streamlinedness of, being able to post and going straight into a group chat within inside the platform. We've now got a map feature as well. The map feature, obviously this is after you verified your identity and gone through some of the safety protocols. You can go onto a map feature and you can post statuses about things that you want to do on the map. And then other people that are in that area, for example, when they're on the map is, let's say I wanted to go rock climbing at the weekend, I would put that on the map. Someone else who's in my area can see that, connect with me, and we can go and do stuff together. You can also pin, if I'm going to Italy next week, I can pin in Italy a status saying I'm going to be here on the 7th to the 8th. Who wants to go for a coffee kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like that's one of my
so
favorite
somebody
features.
in that city in Italy could see that pop up and go, oh, and send them a message saying, they'll connect with them and say, I live here. If you want a tour, like I'm very happy to give you a tour.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, what I love about that feature is there's people I've been on trips with that are from Manchester, and I don't necessarily know they're from Manchester. If I haven't had the chance to ask them or made meticulous notes because a trip had, 50, 100 people, 200 people, like I'm going on this app and I'm going, wow, like I didn't realize there was like 75 people that I actually know who live near me, and that is crazy awesome.
And that's something that I want you to be able to open up the maps feature, look at Manchester, and there'll be hundreds of opportunities around you of people to do things with, connect with, and go, and meet up with.
Like people saying, I'm going to Crazy Golf on the weekend.
Yeah,
I'm going to this climbing wall on Saturday, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I'd like you to open up the map and there'll be hundreds of opportunities for you in your area before you even look elsewhere and where you're going next.
Excellent. So with the whole app launch, what does a day in the life of the founder of the Travel Squad look like?
I guess I can only explain to you my recent date, like yesterday, for example.
Yes.
Because we're doing the app now, I'm doing quite a lot of project managing of the app. I'm doing a lot of the bug testing. Obviously, apps come when you're building an app, it comes with a lot of bugs at first. And my day yesterday was up till all the way until 2-3 a.m. logging bugs for our developers to fix. And I'm also in charge of the majority of actually all of the marketing of the Travel Squad. So it's in between. At the moment, my day in the life is in between project managing the app that we're building, which is a huge project in itself.
Yeah.
But I've also got to keep the momentum of the marketing keep going. We've also got our trips that people want to go on, and I'm in complete charge of how many people see that and see those opportunities. So yeah, it takes some very late nights, especially recently.
So it's not the glitz and glamour 5-star hotels.
A lot of people think you're running a travel community, you must be traveling all the time, you must be out. And there was a period, and I do have some travels, but the last year, I would say, I've been glued into my laptop. And if you was to watch a day in the life of me, it's just me sat there typing on my laptop and working on projects, I guess. And it's not quite the travel life that people expected, but I am aiming for that life at some point.
Excellent. Okay. And so in terms of, where you see yourself in like 5 years with TTS, I suppose to conclude, where do you see yourself and TTS in 5 years?
I'll start with TTS. That's the most important one, is I really want that to be a flourishing platform that people can turn to whenever they need. Someone said like a cringy sentence about our platform is like TTS is like the friend that you've always got. So like I want it to become a platform where people can always turn to it when they've got a new idea or something they want to do. They can always and it hopefully it is innovated by then. We've managed to build funding behind it, and we've managed to really build that platform. And for me, where I'd like to be in 5 years is just, I guess, in the same position I am now, with just still being able to run it and grow it, and appreciate the situation I'm in. Like obviously, I used to work at quite a tough job at JCB, building diggers all day and being a mechanic all day, and that's not the dream situation that I wanted to be in. I didn't like it. So being in a situation where I can work from my laptop wherever I want, I'm very appreciative of the situation I'm in. So I'm hoping that in 5 years I'm just able to carry on this. Is more my goal.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay, brilliant. Well, in that conclusion, thank you for coming on the Travel Squadcast.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. It's been honestly so good having you as a guest, hearing about the app, talking about the app, and just like the whole journey and what's kind of brought us here. And I hope that everybody loves it, to be honest. Like,
I hope so too. We've worked very hard on it.
Yeah, I've been using it for the past few weeks, and I'm just so excited for people to get on there, because when I look on that map feature, when I go down that, down the front timeline, like that, I'm just so excited for more people to jump in there. Because we've got like 100 people in at the moment, and it's looking really vibrant. And so, to get hundreds of thousands of people in there is just super, super exciting.
And I think the key thing is the more people that join it and support it and use it, the more we can then build on it, improve it, and get better. So it's not just in our hands to get it, make it better. It's everybody else coming in and using it and supporting it, I guess, is going to be massively key for us to be able to innovate it and bring in more features and improve it and get better along the way.
Absolutely. So on that note, thanks for joining us. I've been your host, Morgan Goodsmith. Please like, subscribe, and download the TTS app today.
Sweet.
That was great.
That was good. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Definitely. How long do you think that is? Wait, we started at 53. Oh my God.
They're always way longer than you think.
Oh my God, I thought it was like 15 minutes. That's crazy.